Hey, everybody. Welcome to Putting the Real in Real Estate. I'm the host, Art Wood, your favorite mortgage guy on the planet. If you didn't know, just ask me. I will tell you. This is the the first of the podcast. And I'm here with one of my great friends, referral partners, realtors, chef.
Runner, Funkle,
Oh, that's my favorite.
dog dad.
Jackson Stout.
I thought we were still just talking about me, but let's get back to Art.
No, well, it's funny actually. I watch your social media with the nieces, right?
Yes.
Nieces. And I didn't know you were the Funkle. I was Unky Spunky.
Oh,
Unky Spunky. I was given that name.
double title.
I know.
Okay.
I know. Anyway, so the purpose of the podcast in general is just to get real dirty about real estate. You know, a lot of folks who it's glamorous, right?
They watch now.
Make $1 million. It's easy. You work when you want to. And for those of you who know me personally, you know, I'm about being real, being transparent, being genuine. And that's what I want to do. So what we decided to do first, since this is the first one, I want you to get to know me a little bit better. And then at the end, we're going to switch figuratively seats because I actually like being on this side. So we're not really. And then we're going to learn more about Jackson. So we're going to kick it over to Jackson, and I'm going to let it be his podcast for a minute.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me out on the inaugural podcast. And you know, what I think is cool is a lot of people may not know the backstory of your office here and how Art Wood Mortgage Team came to Main Street.
So there's a lot of questions in there, a lot to unpack in there. And number one about this particular space. So let me go back to where I was a wee little lad.
Like Yatol.
Like yay tall. I was born and raised. We're right here in Tucker, Georgia, and was born and raised in Tucker. Went to Tucker High School, which is literally 1,000 yards from here.
I could hit a golf ball there.
I've seen him play golf. He could not hit a golf ball there. Anyway, bought a building, got in the mortgage business 20 years ago. We can talk more about that, but bought a building, filled it up with great staff, especially during the pandemic. And the pandemic ended. Those 3% interest rates ended. So
what a time.
I know. He doesn't even have any gray hair yet, but my hair was his color in 2020. And so anyway, I had this big building and now rented out to an Army recruiting office. And I've got a couple little offices right down the street because I'm still Main Street mortgage guy, and turned this particular office into a podcast room and another little office for my amazing loan partner, TR. And, but then what was really exciting was how we started designing the space. So for instance, these chairs were in my grandparents' living room.
Original
artifacts. And that was my dad's parents. Then he's Murray Wood. My dad was Arthur. Actually, his dad was Arthur Wood, no middle name, then Murray Wood, and then Arthur Murray Wood the first, and I'm Arthur Murray Wood the second. So
sitting and living history.
So I'm going to guess these chairs are 75 years old.
So we would need a lead-based paint disclosure on.
Yes. We're getting to your side of the story. Yeah, that's correct. And then we also have this awesome piece of art, no pun intended. A good friend of mine made that, Ellen Rogers, and loaned it to the space. And it is actually made out of, up here, if you can kind of see, a air condition off of an HVAC unit. So not all the rest of it, some is paper mache or whatever, but it's really cool. And if you saw the intro, it's nothing about this podcast is going to be anything about music, but I'm in a 90s cover band. I'm a worship leader. One of my guitars is over there. If Jackson picks it up, starts playing it, do you play guitar?
I don't want to know how much that costs to replace, so we're not touching it.
All right, that's fair. It did replace one that was sitting there that had come out of an attic with no strings.
That would have been a better
one for you. So anyway, here we sit in my grandparents' chairs. I don't know where the table came from, but on a sad note, my mom passed away 7 weeks ago. Hate to make a joke about my mom passing, but 7 weeks ago, I cut. And anyway, I saw those chairs. I said, this had to be it.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's how it came to pass.
Well, and what's great about that, for people who may not know you, one of the things that immediately drew me to you as just a human being, not only like a loan officer, was the desire to build relationships. So the fact that you're building out your studio with something meaningful that comes from your family just continues to be another display of how in life you're there to be a storyteller and a connector and foster real relationships with people versus buying something from like IKEA and opening a box.
Or Rocket Mortgage or
I didn't know we were allowed to insult other companies out here today. What's in this coffee?
no, and yes, I'm a very relational person. In fact, if we're going to jump in and get really real, people ask me often to say, "Do you like what you do?" And I'm like, "No."
Hold on, asterisk. There's an asterisk though.
There is an asterisk because I'm so relational, and in the mortgage business, it can be such a transactional business. So you beat your head on the wall all the time. So when you connect with your favorite clients or your favorite type of clients, then it's just magic, and you wake up and you can't wait to get in the office.
Well, and that's a great point because, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people think that this whole industry is glamorous. Everyone in real estate just makes boatloads of money. There's no headaches. They see things on TV that make it look like it's you sign a contract, closing days here, everyone's happy.
Oh yeah.
Yet you and I both know the 100 phone calls between those 2 days is how we get to that closing table.
Yep.
And when you're working with the right people, it becomes not a job because you're helping someone achieve one of the biggest moments in their life.
That's correct.
Very few people can say that they sell 3 or 4 homes a year personally.
Yep.
Yet for that one client that is their largest asset, building that relationship, what makes you different from, like you mentioned, an online application or one of those other companies?
Well, it's interesting to me. The thing that I think is so important is I go to closings.
Can confirm.
Go to closings. And Jackson and I just had one of my favorite closings. I can't speak to him.
They were
Awesome. They were awesome. They spent eight plus months trying to sell their house in Charleston and got here. In fact, my coffee mug came from them. They sent the golf father, but they put on my T-shirt, the Artwood Mortgage Team T-shirt, took the picture, and sent me a thank you note and a drink, another cup that holds more alcoholic beverages. But those, I would have never had that experience. I couldn't have hugged their neck. I couldn't have shaken hands,
shaking hands,
couldn't have shaken,
shooken.
whatever. This is not a grammatically correct podcast, but I couldn't have done that. And then when they get a phone call from me on their birthday, when I call them up and say it's time to refinance, when I invite them to my office to pick up a free pie for Thanksgiving, those are the things. And when TR came to work for me, I mentioned TR, my loan partner. She was like, "Your clients love you."
It's a fact.
And I cannot imagine doing it any different way. In fact, I felt guilty. I felt guilty in the pandemic for 2 reasons.
Sounds good.
Yeah. One of them was because but especially mortgage folks, because of refis, were making more money than any human being should. It was, and the world was melting around us, was falling apart. And I closed $102 million in volume each year, which is 30 something loans a month.
Wait, just to talk about the standard that's far surpassing.
Yeah. So I felt guilty, for doing that, but also there were so many people I was sometimes I would lose track. It wasn't, if you took the first 15 years of my career closing 100, 120 loans a year, you had more time, but then all of a sudden you're doing 380 loans a year. So I felt a little guilty, but the way I rationalized that in my brain was in 2008, when the Great Recession, we got murdered, but there were a lot of people that were making a lot of money. So somebody's making money
Times and whatever's going.
and somebody's hurting. And I felt for those that were hurting. And so people would say, "Yeah, how you doing?" I'm going, "Great."
Well, and you know what? One of the things that I think to highlight here that's important is, yes, people were calling you to refinance. Yet you talked about, like, I really don't enjoy what I'm doing. It's numbers based. It's on the computer. It's a lot of paperwork per se. Yet I think the part that you do enjoy, having known you for so long now, is what did doing that for them, freeing up that money, getting that second line of credit. What are those moments that brought to those families in your clients' lives that you got to enjoy and celebrate and witness by
Oh,
helping them refinance?
absolutely. Well, it's, I feel like I'm a debt manager. There's an asset manager, you have a financial planner or what have you, but um, I'm a debt manager, and I dig in deep and say, it's not just it's going to save you money, but what is saving you money really going to mean? Saving you money means, hey, you can pay off your house faster potentially. You can put money away to. I had a financial planner pull out hundreds of thousands of dollars on a refinance at 3%. And he turned it around and made 12% out of it.
And for anyone who's just not aware of like rates, 3% in essence is free money.
Free money.
I mean,
Free-
not literally, but in our world, pretty much.
Yeah, and what that's done to the housing industry is somewhat put it on lockdowns. I'm not a doom and gloom kind of
Mhm.
guy. But what it's done is it's called the golden handcuffs, because people are like, I don't care if I need a new house. I'm not leaving my 2.5% interest rate.
Well, and it's so funny you mentioned that because, like you mentioned earlier, during COVID, over 54% of the country now has a rate under 4%.
Yep.
And over 70% have 50% more equity in their house, I believe.
Yeah. I mean,
So
house prices have almost doubled.
the amazing thing is, like you said, they're sitting on a home that may be too large, maybe a little bit dated, yet their payment is the lowest it's ever been in their entire ownership history. So it's hard to go, hey, Art, come buy a brand new house and let's double your mortgage payment. And in all seriousness, it's probably a smaller home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Back in the Great Recession, it was. I got to get this right because it flipped the other way. But when people were going, I'm not selling until my house value comes back up. So those folks that were so those people that were upsizing were getting screwed because if their $200,000 house goes up 10%, or $400,000 house goes up 10%, you're losing. You should sell, and while that, and so vice versa. It's easier now to downsize because you have so much equity you could sell and pay cash.
That's the fun fact.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like you called yourself a debt manager. I more think of you like a creative manager in a sense, because you can look at that financial landscape and help identify what could you do with this if we cashed in your equity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are sitting on mountains of equity right now. Anyone, I think it's safe to say if you've been in the house 20 plus years,
You have a ton.
you have a ton of equity. Now, those are first time home buyers or, newer homeowners that bought within the last 2 years for their first time, maybe not the same scenario, yet that's where your experience helps so many people figure out either one, what can I do today? Or how can I create a plan to get to
Well, and it's okay in both of our industries to say no.
I'm sorry, what?
To say no.
No, we have the permission to say
We have the permission to say that. Like I do sometimes feel like I sleep better, but I lose business sometimes because I'm going, that's just not smart. You shouldn't do that. What my first job in the mortgage industry was with Lennox Financial. They advertised on the radio, the biggest no-brainer in the history of Earth, no closing costs and everything, and they threw realtors under the bus for referring lenders. You wouldn't, they called them, they called you glorified taxi drivers.
Oh.
And I'm like, this is great. This is wonderful, wonderful way to get business. But he's, I remember in a sales meeting, he said, one of my good friends called me up and wanted to do this 6-month arm thing because it was really low. And it's like, don't do that. That's not smart. And all of a sudden, a year later, he calls me back and he says, John, I need you to get me out of that 6-month arm thing. Well, I didn't give you. He says, yeah, but somebody else did, and he's like, if you want ice cream, sell them ice cream. That's what I like. Yeah, but if it's just not smart, if you look at, for instance, if you look at the way Fannie Freddie, FHA is set up, Fannie Mae will not go above 50% debt to income. FHA will go up to about 56-ish. But if you can think for a minute, if you're the only one on the loan, you're the only one in the household, you make $10,000 a month, you're bringing home your debt to income is based off of $10,000 a month. 56% of that is $5,600. But if you make $10,000 a month in salary, what are you paying in taxes? At least $3,000, right?
100%. I mean, if you're putting aside enough to where you're not paying at the end
Yeah.
of the year.
So now you're bringing in $700 and they might approve you for a $5,600 mortgage.
And that's 2/3 of your disposable income a month.
Now, what do so yes, I will have that conversation. For instance, as well, when I'm doing a pre-qualification letter, they say, how much am I qualified for? I'm going, wrong question.
How much do I want to pay?
How much do you want to pay? And can I qualify for that? So, those are things. And then I would love to get an investment property, but I don't have the 25% to put down. How much, what do you want?
Can we open a
Second mortgage, HELOC or whatever. And then we go through all of that situation too, to say, all right, there's going to be a cost for the HELOC. There's going to be a cost for the new mortgage. What's the, what are the things? And sometimes that works out great. Sometimes it doesn't, but yes, I mean, you're right. You're moving the puzzle pieces around to make it fit or not fit. And you just got to be honest with them and tell them it doesn't fit.
Well, and I think one of the things that you probably come across this way more than I do, because I know 100% my lane.
Like a door.
Pretty much.
No, I thought I was what you were talking about.
No, I thought you were talking about me. Okay. But like my lane is not talking the numbers and the financing.
Yep.
I know enough to be dangerous. I chimed in a little bit there. Yet if I were to try to influence the clients on something that is not my mastery level, I'm now putting you at a disservice. So what's amazing in this job and having connected with you, you're looking to build relationships with people. You're looking to help put their financial best interests first. Sometimes, like you said, it does come at the cost of telling them what they don't want to hear. But that's why I love working with you, because there are so many people that are, yes.
Yeah.
You go to Rocket Mortgage or a credit.
I can get you that.
Any big box bank, you want it done. They're never going to ask and look at, is this the right decision for you? And I think that's the challenging part in our industry, is having that confidence to say no or ask better questions, like you mentioned.
Well, yeah. And in your situation too, you find realtors that are not confident enough to push back. When they come into you with a pre-qualification letter from any big box bank that's never going to get accepted or whatever, they'll say,
they hide billboards most of the time.
Yeah. And they're like, nope, you got to use somebody else.
Mhm.
And there's so many real estate agents that just are not comfortable doing it because they're scared they may push them away. But you mentioned partnerships, and I could not agree more. One of the reasons that my Jackson or any other agent likes to work with me, because he knows at 10:30 at night when you text me or call me.
I text first to see what kind of phone call we can have. Sometimes we're in the same room and we do magic together.
That's it. And that's fine. But by 10:32, you're going to get a response.
Well, and that it's so important for people to realize who you work with matters. In the world of real estate, there's a team. And a lot of new agents or even clients that maybe have never bought or sold before don't realize the whole team matters. One weak link there can totally derail the whole deal.
100.
And if I don't have 100% confidence in you to carry your portion, or you don't have the confidence in me for the negotiation side for what they need financially, how are we going to get the clients to their end goal?
I'll ask you a question from a real estate agent, and this may get you in trouble. What do you say when I come to you and go, you do not need to refer 3 loan officers?
That's a great question, because so many people do, because, everyone wants to have that. I didn't tell you to use this sole person, you made it a choice. And a lot of it comes from just not owning the relationship that they have.
Yep.
If you have entire full confidence in who you're working with, why do they need anyone else? You want to know why? Because what changes when you talk between lenders?
Everything changes. I mean, buyers are liars.
That.
Sorry.
But what I was going to get at there is, do mortgage rates change from
Okay.
company to company? No, that is pretty consistent. There might be a hair difference.
Yep.
Yet what you're actually hiring when you hire a loan officer is the person that's going to get your deal, not only from here's your pre-approval, because that's just step one, all the way through underwriting. And underwriting is the worst case scenario for a new agent, because if you don't know what's going on and your loan officer doesn't care about you,
Yep.
you are a file on someone's desk. Whereas you have clients who love you. You're in their phone, can call you, get questions answered. I can call you and get questions answered. And if you're out there,
Sellers agents can call and get questions answered.
it's actually the best part.
Yeah.
How many emails are you copied on when I submit an offer? Yeah, it's the whole team and efficiency to make sure that this goes according to plan. And I feel like when you present to your clients as a realtor, here's a couple of options with no insight.
Yeah.
It's because you don't have the confidence in who you're referring.
I 100% agree. There was somebody the other day that said, wait, it was another podcast I was watching. And so they're saying, oh, wait, Mr. Realtor. So you want me to do the work? I thought, you want me to go call. Yeah, I thought that's what you did to make sure you have a great team to call. And for us, the exact same is true. Like I have TR and Jack and everything. It allows me to go out and do what I do, rain make, whatever, problem solve, when you know that every link in the chain is solid, even to my marketing guy in California, Eddie, that's going to edit this podcast. He has all the logos and all the things. It's a well-oiled machine. And I just, to circle all the way back, I just don't think people realize what all happens behind the scenes.
No, they have no idea that this magic fourth wall is here behind the curtain and what's going on.
That's right.
They just think that, oh, I see the email come over, this is happening. They don't know the army that's behind the closed doors doing all the work.
We just had one yesterday or this week that we struggle with. It was a DSCR loan, which is an investor loan, debt service coverage ratio loan. We're doing two deals for this one client. And the mortgage payment has to be less than the mortgage rent. And what the taxes, I was told at the beginning, were a third of what the taxes ended up being. And we spent the better part of a full day at least figuring out how to make all that work. And in fact, TR says, he has no idea what's going, you just feel like, oh yeah, just go change that and it'll work. And so I had an old assistant that actually worked for me, that used to work for my financial planner back in the day. And she had never been in the mortgage business and she was amazed. I mean, she's like, I just can't believe what's going on.
Well, and it's interesting because we come across a lot of clients, you probably more so than I, and you have to mirror and match them. Some of them want hand holding. They want to know everything that's happening in the process. And what I love is you're willing to take the time to make sure that they understand that. And not only understand it, you do it in advance of being under the time frame of like ticking clock,
sure,
contingencies in. There's also clients that are extremely, I need bullet points. Are we good to go? Yes or no? What do you need? And when you work with somebody that is real and has that human relationship like you get that type of relationship. That's the wrong word. Let's cut that out.
We'll leave that in there because I want to point and laugh at it later.
Get that type of professionalism to meet the client where they are, because there are lots of people in this industry that are order takers or rope pushers. You cannot put a square peg in a round hole. And instead of trying to force it, you find the way that makes everything line up so that it's a win-win.
Yeah. And there's times that we swing and miss. I mean,
we don't like to admit it.
No, but there's times where you don't pick up what they're putting down, so my ideal client is someone that likes relationships like me, because I say, look, call other lenders or whatever, and don't worry about rate right now, because we're all going to be give or take the same, but who gives you the warm and fuzzy feeling? And yeah, there's a lot of times the spreadsheet guys, those are not a lot of times my clients, and I will try to mirror them.
But I love that's also not my client.
Yeah,
we don't lose anything there.
No, and that's fine. There are certain folks that rely on that, and that's fine. It's just sometimes I celebrated 20 years in the industry this past September. Thank you. And I still get mad and sad and heartbroken every time I lose a client or don't gain a client. And I have so many mentors in life that say, that's okay. You can't win them all. And their loss, all the things. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to win them all.
Well, and that's what I love. Like there's a competitiveness within you that matches, especially the competitiveness I have. I want to win at everything. Pending our Georgia Bulldogs this season. We're mourning that. Yeah. When it comes to our
I would sell more loans if I wasn't looking at the transfer portal and recruiting everything. I can sell sending more loans. So you get a little extra discount for saying go Dogs when you answer the phone. Jackson will give you partial.
We're going to rebate for every time Georgia Bulldogs win a natty. That's our commitment to you. Yet, what I love about that kind of segue is one of the things that first drew me to you is who you are as not only a person, but a father, a husband, a service member in your community. Like, jokingly, we refer to you as the unofficial mayor of Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it shouldn't be unofficial because you can't walk down Main Street without people knowing you. You can't go out without people being like, you helped my mom do this, or my neighbors loved working with you. And what I love is when you mention who you work with matters, you attract those people that align with your life values too.
You're right.
Like, for instance, you and I both share something. Are we answering the phone Sunday morning before we're done with church? Absolutely not.
Mm.
And if clients have a problem with that, it goes back to, like you said, people are afraid to say no. I think in our industry, if we set boundaries for ourselves and set those expectations with our clients, we would all have a better lifestyle because lack of
They respect
preparation.
it. They respect
do.
it.
It's weird to tell someone no and then get that mutual respect, but it's ultimately the ultimate sign that
Right.
they care who they're working.
Yeah. What's really nice is because if one of the questions that I will ask you on the next podcast was what would be some advice for a new realtor, but a new loan officer. I mean, in our worlds, they're not line that you can be a referral based or you can be leads based.
Sure.
I mean, that's kind of it. And leads based is quicker, frustrating, because the closure ratio is, so small. But relationship, if you want to have a career, you start with a relationship.
Absolutely.
And I was blessed to be in my hometown, to be a relationship guy. So when I started leads. They had advertised on the radio, and I'd push the button. First person to answer would get the lead, and it's calling out of Florida. And I did well at that. But after a couple of years, we actually helped start a new company. I had started networking, and half of my business was coming from relationships.
Well, and it's very, to break it down, it's quantity versus quality. Both will work. It's just, how do you want to do business? And the way that you do business is face to face, building that relationship, being involved in the community. One of my favorite things every year is sponsoring and being at your charity golf tournament. He mentioned earlier, I can't hit a golf ball to save my life. Yet that is one of the most fun experiences and weekends, to be at an event where everyone is coming together, not only to support you because we love being in business with you, but also for a good cause, for the Salvation Army, and to get clients involved that we mutually have worked with. Like, that's one of the funnest aspects, is to see personal life, business, everything merged together.
Yeah. What struck me as odd is I'm not a big volunteer guy in that I go I will go create things and lead things and stuff, but I would probably have been less likely if you said, if you asked, I would do it. But hey, let me just go volunteer for this. This golf tournament, my dad started before he passed in 07. And we're 21 years in now. I do the whole thing via text. We sell at Smoke Rise Country Club. And I really didn't even ask for volunteers until the last couple of years. And to hear Jackson's story, I had people, working beer tents that weren't beer employees, people running everything. And they were all just so touched by the tournament, touched by the people, everything else. And so I do a lot of charity work, and you realize you go out to help others, to bless others. And what happens? You're the ones that end up getting blessed.
Our first year, it was like, what, 25 degrees and raining?
That's most every year. It seems like it's a golf tournament.
But it was so much fun. And to still see, like 500 people out there supporting?
143.
This is why I don't do math. That's his lane.
Oh, I really want to jump back into that, but we're running short on time. I think we're running short on time. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so on that golf tournament, just so you know, I used to play in it. I'd put it together, but then I would only get to see 25% of the people, whatever it is. And so now I sit on a hole and try and bet everybody I can get closer than they can. But we even added, and then I get to say hello to everybody, take pictures, hug, shake hands. But then my son started playing golf a few years ago. And
little son.
Oh yeah. No, he was not. No, he's a near. I'll say everybody knows him, loves my son. But even 5 years ago, he was 11 years old, and he was on the tee box with me, and he would get hit. Well, now he's a better golfer than I am, and I give the teams the opportunity to pick who gets to be on their team or who we're playing against. And it's just so much fun just to catch up. And they're people I don't see, but that time of year.
Well, and one of the things that I love is you make it a family affair. Your son's there, but your daughter, your wife,
My daughter sings the national anthem.
everyone is
Yep.
there. And working with you really does like encompass the things that we prioritize in our businesses.
I agree.
You know, family first. Our whole industry is based around families making moves. And when you prioritize your own family in such a way that you do, and you show up for them, I think the clients see that in how you show up for them during the transaction.
Yeah, and then the other thing we have to worry about is work-life balance. I feel like I've done a lot better than that in the last several years, but during pandemic, my wife and kids would bring me dinner up here because I'd be here till 12 o'clock or whatever, and sell all those loans. But yeah, I always said I put it on LinkedIn, and I don't use it a lot. But family is who I am. Work is mortgages is what I do,
And it's true.
and it makes it a lot. So, what's one burning question? We got to wrap this up because I have. We've lost our clock, so I know we may be on an hour and a half at this point, which Jackson and I both, I used to be told when I was working the leads with Linux Financial, they said, Art doesn't know how to sell a mortgage. He just talks in the depths. He's like, I'll take it if you'll just shut up.
The gift of gab is real between us.
We could do a 3-day podcast, but one burning question, short one, not a discussion necessarily, that you didn't
Easy. I think we talk about our wins a lot. And you mentioned there's some times that we have lost it. If you don't own that loss, and whether it was due to action of your own or something else, then it's hard to grow from that experience. So going back through your whole 20-year career, what is that one experience, whether it was a lost client or a mortgage that you couldn't get to the closing table, that just sticks out as like such a moment where you're like, okay, I will not ever let this happen again?
So I can only think of in 20 years, 3 to 5 loans that I said would go that didn't go.
Which ratio compared to how many loans you close is crazy good.
You know what? At the end of the day, you've got to be careful. I mean, every number matters. And I'll tell you the worst experience that I had, because it was such a wonderful client, but she came to me 6 months prior and she was getting child support. And I did all the things. I checked, you got to receive it for at least 3 years and all this kind of stuff. I said, great, that's fine. We sent her pre-approval. 6 months later, she goes under contract. Like, great.
Super exciting moment.
Super exciting moment. We're all going, we're getting halfway through. She'd already paid for the appraisal, everything else. Her son turned 18 the month prior. And so there was only, maybe 16 or whatever, but it was 35 months remaining of mandatory child support. And the birth certificate was in, oh my gosh, Portuguese. It just it broke my heart. I can't say, I want to say it wasn't really my fault, but it was. So it just encourages you to do your best, give 100% every time. And you got to go back and check and say, okay, I pre-qualified you 6 months ago, but what could have changed? So it's just about always wanting to be better. And again, it breaks my heart to lose a client, but those 3 to 5 deals in 20 years, I can name 3 of them right now where I screwed up. And I just try to, I put people in place like TR and Jack that don't, that if one of us drops the ball, the other one catches it. So anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. This has been a lot of fun.
It has.
Look forward to the next one where we'll figuratively switch seats and learn more about Jackson. And I have a feeling you'll learn more about me. And we already learned a lot about Jackson too, so it'll be a lot of fun. But I really appreciate your time listening to Putting the Real in Real Estate, and we'll see you next time. Peace.